This conference will now be recorded.
So in today's class, I'll talk about how to create a how to create a HTML file and how to write the HTML. How to what is about HTML technology. So we'll try to learn about the HTML. So till now, when I was talking about when I was talking about uh, core Java classes and other classes, I told that you have to create a file new Java project, right? File new, array, file new Java project. This is what we have done, right? We are given the project name and we have created a project. So all these projects that we have created, this first project, JDBC demo, sample project, second project, Hibernate demo, all these projects, training project, all these projects are Java projects, right? Correct? So
Yes.
now we are going to develop a web application. We are going to develop a web application. Whenever you want to develop a web application, you have to create a file new. You have to create, go to the other dynamic, dynamic web project. So this is the project you have to create, dynamic web project. Okay, not the Java project, because we are not developing a Java application, we are developing a web application. We are not developing a standalone application, we are developing a web application, correct? So let me create dynamic web project. So you have to give the project name as your wish, you can give any name. So maybe we'll give it as first web application, something like this. Okay, and okay, so that's fine. So now just click next, click next. Okay, click finish. That's all. You can directly click finish. Just click as here. Now the first web application project is created. And if you people remembered, whenever you create a Java project, by default, the project structure is SRC folder. You get an SRC folder and don't get anything else. So let me create one Java project and show you. File new Java project, other Java project, file new Java project. So give the project name as uh, Java demo, something like this. Finish. Click as. So when you create a Java project, by default you get this folder called SRC folder. This is the project structure. This is the default project structure. Agreed? So inside this SRC folder, you will create a package and you will create the classes inside the package. So this is the default. This is the default project structure you get for a Java project. Now let us see what is the default project structure for the web application. When you create a dynamic web project, so this is the default project structure. You'll get a SRC folder. You'll get a web content folder. So this is the web content folder. Inside this web content folder, you will have a webinf folder, and inside this webinf folder, you have a web.xml file. So this is the default project structure of a dynamic web project. When you create a dynamic web project, this is how it looks like. This is how the folders looks like. Okay. So now I created a dynamic web project. Now what I'll do is just select this web content folder, select the web content folder, right click on that, new other. I'm creating a HTML file, new HTML file. I am creating a new HTML file. So give the file name as your wish, welcome.html or whatever it is, welcome.html. Finish. So this is the welcome.html file. I told this morning there is a HTML tag. There is HTML tag is closed. Body tag is open and body tag is closed. Correct? There is a head tag and head tag is closed. So head tag is optional tag. You don't require to write the head tag. If you want to remove it, remove it. It's not required. If you want to remove it, remove it. So but the HTML tag should open and HTML tag should close, and body tag should open and body tag should close. Okay. So now insert this body tag. Hello, this is this is my first HTML page. Something you're writing like this. So this is the welcome.html file that I have written. This is the welcome.html file I have created. Any questions here? Just select the web content folder, right click, new HTML file. You're creating a HTML file inside the web content folder. So please keep your microphone in mute. I'm getting an echo. Yeah. So, any questions, anyone? Whoever has the questions, please unmute your microphone and speak out. So this is how you create a HTML file. You create a dynamic web project, and the default project structure is src folder, web content folder. On the web content folder, right click on new HTML, and you're creating a welcome.html file. Okay, this is my web application. This is my web application. Suppose I'll create one more HTML file. Right click on the web content folder, new, other HTML file. So this time what I'll do is I'll click home.html. Home.html. So I'll write inside this body tag, this is home page, something like this. So I'll write one more HTML file, new, other HTML file. So this one I'll write login.html. Login.html. Finish. So inside this login.html, what I'll do is I'll write input type equal to text. Input type equal to text. This is what I told this morning. Input type equal to text. Name is equal to name1. Something like you can give any name. So this is input type equal to text. Name equal to name1, and I'll give username. Okay, and password. So input type equal to password. Input type equal to password, and name equal to name2, something like this. Okay, name equal to name2. So I created username, and I created one text field. I also created one password. So this is there in the login.html file. Now how many files I created? I created login.html file, welcome.html file, and home.html file. There are 3 HTML files I created inside this web content folder. So this is my web project now. This is my web project. Okay, next thing is, so I forgot to tell one more thing. So first of all, let us install the Tomcat server. Let us install the Tomcat server. So I want someone to share your screen and install the Tomcat server. Who will do that? So Manasa, do you want to share your screen and install the Tomcat server? Manasa? Okay. So Meghna, what about you? I can't hear you guys. Can you hear me? Manasa and Meghna. Okay, anyone can hear me?
Yeah, Ramja, I can share my screen if you want.
Yeah, Srimant. So please share your screen. I'm making you as a presenter. So go and install, just type Apache Tomcat download. Apache Tomcat download. Okay. So you can download the Tomcat 7, not required Tomcat 8 and Tomcat 9, or Tomcat 9 is the latest version, but you can go with Tomcat 7. So Apache Tomcat 7 download. Yeah. Yeah, go there, go to that website. Come down, come down. So you have full documentation, 64-bit Windows, right?
Yes.
Just download that. Okay, so just open the folder, show all and open the folder. Hold on, hold on, hold on. Yeah, wait complete. Just refresh the download page. Refresh the download page. Yeah, it's done. Go to the shown folder. So can you please copy this in softwares? Okay, so that is a zip file, you got it. Please unzip it. Extract to Apache Tomcat 7.0.92. Yeah. So that's a zip file. When you download it, you got a zip file. You are unzipping that. So you got this particular folder. Go and open that folder. Go and open that folder. Yeah. So this is that if it's very easy to download the Tomcat server. So how we did just now, we download. You go and type Apache Tomcat download version 7. So you can download. So version 7 has so many things. 7.0.92 is the version you downloaded. You can download any version of 7. No, not a problem. So when you download the Tomcat server, you get a zip file. So you unzip it. So this is the folder structure. You'll get it. Go and open that bin folder. Go and open the bin folder. If you look at this bin folder, so there is a start. Can you see the startup? Startup. Can you please highlight startup? Startup. Yeah, startup. Not shell script. Startup.sh is shell script. It's a Windows bash file because we are if you're using a Unix server or Linux server, so you have to use the shell scripting. But we are in the Windows laptops, so it should be Windows bash file. So it's not shell scripting; it's Windows bash file. So startup.bat, the extension of this file is .bat. The batch files will always have .bat. .bat is the file extension. So this is the startup.bat. It's a .bat file. Okay, .bat file. Okay, so hold on, let me share my screen now. So I already have the Tomcat server installed in my laptop. C drive, softwares. I have this Apache Tomcat 7.0.72 version. I downloaded. He downloaded 7.0.92 version. It doesn't matter any version. Even Tomcat 8 and Tomcat 9 is also fine with me. You can download any version. So, but most of the companies are still using Tomcat 7. So I ask you to download Tomcat 7. Okay. So it's a bin folder. This is the bin folder I'm talking about. So you have this startup.batch file. This is the batch file I'm talking about. You have a startup.shell scripting and startup.batch file, correct? So what you'll do is go to the command prompt, go to the command prompt, run as administrator, run as administrator. So cd, I'll navigate to that softwares folder, cd softwares. So cd Apache Tomcat, cd bin, so cd bin. So inside this bin folder, you have a startup.batch file, correct? This is the .batch file, correct? So when you run this file, when you click enter, that batch file will run. It is running. It will run the batch file. So when you run this batch file, the server will start. You are starting the server. You are starting the server, correct? So server is starting. This is the Tomcat server is starting. See, server startup in 3619 milliseconds. Server startup completed. So Tomcat server is started. Agreed. Tomcat server is started. Now, if you look at this Tomcat server startup, you can see that. Excuse me. So this is 8090 port number. It is so So the Tomcat server started on 8090 port number. I told that morning when I was telling, so when you want to send a request from the browser to the server, you should know the IP address of the laptop in which the server is installed, correct? You should know the IP address of the laptop in which the server is installed. Otherwise, you cannot send a request from the browser. Did everyone remember that?
Yes.
Everyone. I'm asking everyone. I'm asking everyone. If you don't want to join the class, please disconnect the meeting and don't join. When I ask some question, you have to respond.
Yes, Ramji.
What did I say this morning? I told that whenever you send a request from the browser to the server, how do you send the request? To which server you will send? Will you send the request to the Tomcat server that is installed in my laptop, or will you send the request to the Tomcat server that is installed in Steeman's laptop, or which laptop you will send the request? So you should know the IP address of the laptop to which server you are sending the request, right?
Yes, Ramji.
So if you know the IP address, is it sufficient?
No.
No.
You have to know the port number.
Sorry?
To know the port number also.
You should know the port number also, on which port number the server is running. Because if you know the IP address, suppose in my laptop, the Tomcat server is running on port number 8090, WebLogic server is running on port number 8080, WebSphere server is running on port number 9190, something like that. Assume that there are a lot of services running in my laptop. So if you want to speak with a specific service, if you want to speak with the Tomcat service, or if you want to speak with the WebLogic service, so there are a lot of services running in my laptop. So if you want to speak with a specific server or specific service, you should know on which port number that particular server is running or that particular service is running, correct?
Yes, sir.
So right now the Tomcat server is started on port number 8090 that you can clearly see here. The Tomcat server is running on port number 8090. So now, for example, if you say Control C, just highlight this, Control C. So Control C means quit. You're quitting. It means you're stopping the server. See, the server is stopped. There is no more server. I started the server and I stopped the server. Correct?
Yes.
Suppose if I want to start the server again, startup.bash file. Just startup.bash file. Just on that. See, a new window is opened here. Agreed? A new window is opened here. This is where I am starting up the server. Correct? In this window. Okay, so a new window. This is the server console. This is the server started in a different window. Server is showing in a different window, right? This is the Tomcat server. It started different with this many seconds. Suppose if I want to stop the server, you can just click here, Control C. That's how Control C means quit. You're quitting, you're stopping the server. Now server, that window is closed. That server is stopped. Now server is not running on port number 8090. Server is not running on port number 8090. When I start the server is running on port number 8090. When I stop the server is not running on port number 8090. Server is not running at all. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is how you start the server and this is how you stop the server. Suppose if the server is not running, can you send a request to the server? Obviously not. So you have to make sure that your server is running. Your application is there inside the server. I'm telling that you have to keep your application. You have to keep your application inside the server. You have to keep your application in whatever the web application you develop. Whatever the web application you develop, you have to keep that application inside a server. And you have to make sure that server is started up. If the server is not started, you cannot send a request to the server. So you have to start the server. Server has to be running on port number 8090. Then only you can send a request to that particular server. Any questions here?
No, Ramji.
If the server is stopped, your application is there inside the server, but server is stopped. If the server is stopped, you cannot send a request to your application. You have to make sure that server is running. Then only you can send a request to the server so that the request will be redirected to the application inside the server. Any questions here?
No run.
I hope everyone understood how to download the Tomcat server and how to start the server and how to stop the server. And when you start the server start on port number 8090 in my laptop. Correct? Okay.
Yes.
So now next topic is now server is installed and you know how to start the server also fine. But you developed one web application, right? You created a dynamic web project and you created one application. In this application there are 3 HTML files, right? In this particular application there are 3 HTML files. So this is the application that you developed. Now you have to keep this application inside the server, correct? You have to keep this application inside the server. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Because if you want to run this application, it needs a server. It cannot run by itself. You have to keep this application inside a server, then only you can run this application. It's not a standalone application. It requires the support of a server. Without server support it cannot run, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You have to keep this application inside a server. You have to keep this web application inside a server, then you can run this application. Any questions here?
No run.
So I created one dynamic web project. Inside the web content folder. I created 3 HTML files. So this is the application I developed. Now I want to keep this application inside the server. How will I keep this application inside the server? So in this example, I just created 3 HTML files. Sorry. In this example, I just created 3 HTML files. But assume that in the web application that you develop in your companies, there might be hundreds and hundreds of HTML files, right?
Yes, sir.
So there are a lot of HTML files in this web project, in this web application, in the web project that you created. This is the dynamic web project that you created. There might be lots and lots of HTML files. So how will you keep this entire project? How will you keep this entire application inside the server? What will you do is, listen carefully. Right click on this project. Right click on this project. Export. Okay, so you want to export this entire project as a go to the web as a war file. You want to export this entire project as a war file. Okay, war means web archive. War file means web archive. So most of the people already know about what is jar file, Java archive, right?
Yes.
So I already told how to export the entire Java project as a jar file. I already told how to export entire Java project as a jar file to most of the students, the core Java batch students. So if you have gone through my recordings, the initial 10 recordings or initial 15 recordings, I would have definitely told about it. Did you people go through the recordings and found the jar file? Did I tell about the jar file or not?
Yeah, you said couple of times.
No, I'm talking about the other batch, the third batch. Did you people go through my recordings and found how to export the entire Java project as a jar file? If you people did not find that, so you have to find it out. So please go through the recordings and understand what is jar file. So right now what I'm doing is I'm exporting the entire web project as a war file, web archive. Okay. So right click on the project, export. So just go to the web and specify war file. Next. So where you want to export? So export it to the desktop. I'm exporting to my desktop. So this is the name of the war file I'm giving, first web application.war file. So click save. Finish. Okay. So now if you go to the desktop, you can see first web application.war file. This is the war file that the entire web project. The entire web project is exported as a war file, correct? Agreed?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now what I'll do is I want to keep this war file inside the server, because suppose if there are 100 HTML, for example, if there are 100 HTML files, in the web project, so if you want to place entire project in the server, can you go and place each and every file, first HTML file, second HTML file? You can if you place like that, there might be a chance that you might miss something, correct? That's the reason instead of keeping file by file, I'm exporting the entire project as a war file. Now this war file contains everything. This war file contains everything, correct? So this war file contains all the HTML files. Now I'll go and keep this war file inside the server. Any questions here? See, for example, suppose if you want to send me, if I ask you to send this particular folder, this particular folder, this particular folder, and this particular folder, and this particular folder, and this particular folder, all these folders in the email. If I ask you to send all the files in this folder, for example, this folder contains so many files. Suppose there is one more folder inside the folder, and inside this folder also there are so many files, and inside this folder there is one more folder. There are a lot of things like this, and I ask you to send this particular folder. I ask you to send this particular folder and this particular folder, this particular folder, this particular folder, all these folders in the email, all the files in those folders in the email. How will you send it? Will you go and open the folder and send file by file, or you'll just zip all the files? You zip all the files, right? All these folders you'll add to archive, correct or not? The zip file, agreed?
Yes, sir.
And you will send only one zip file to me, agreed or not? For example, I will select this folder, I'll select this folder, I'll select this folder, I'll select this folder, and right click on this, add to archive. Then all these folders are added to the archive. That is the zip file, correct? The WinZip file, correct or not?
Yes.
I hope everyone knows what is WinZip and WinRAR. So you can zip all these files and you can send only one zip file to me in the email instead of sending file by file. Similarly, instead of keeping each and every file in the server, so I'm exporting the entire project as a war file, that is a web archive. So I'm keeping this web archive file in the server because I want to keep my application inside the server, correct? Any questions here?
No, sir.
I am exporting the entire project as a war file. This project contains all the HTML files. I am exporting this entire project as a war file. Now I want to place this war file inside the server. So let me copy that war file first of all. Copy. Then go to the server. Where is my server? C drive, softwares, Tomcat. This is the Tomcat server location. So in the Tomcat server, you have a bin folder, you have a web apps folder, right? So this is the folder I'm looking for. So inside this web apps folder, all the web applications will be kept inside this folder. Web applications. All the web applications will be kept inside this web apps folder. Just open this folder. Just paste that war file. This is the first web application that war file I kept inside this web apps folder. Correct? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
So now my application is kept inside the server. My application is kept inside the server. Correct?
Yes.
Now I have to start the server, because if I don't start the server, you cannot send a request to the server. Server has to run first. If you keep your application inside the server, it is not sufficient. You have to start the server. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me start the server now. So this is the bin folder. Go to the startup.batch file, start the server. So server is starting. Server startup is complete in 365 seconds. Correct? Any question? So now if you go and look into the server web apps folder, you can see one folder called first web application. Actually, you kept first web application.war file. This war file is extracted into a folder when the server is starting. When the server is starting, what server will do is whatever the war files that is present inside the web apps folder, it will extract those war files into folders. Getting it? So during the server startup, these war files are extracted automatically. Any questions here?
No.
Now open this folder. You can see home.html, login.html, and all these things, correct?
Yes.
So Now your application is there inside the server. Your application, the server started and server is running, and your application is also part of the server, correct?
Yes, sir.
So there are a lot of applications. This is one application that is running inside the server. This is another application that is running inside the server. It means the portal web service that war file is extracted into portal web service. So these war files I don't require. I want these folders because these are the applications inside the server. The war files are extracted into these things. I can delete this. I don't require these things. I can delete it. After extracting these war files into folders, I don't require the war files at all. Getting it?
Yes, sir.
So now let me send one request from the browser because server is running. I can send a request to the server, correct?
Yes.
So as morning I told that when the client wants to communicate with the server, it has to know which language it has to which language the server will understand. The server will understand the HTTP protocol, correct? If you send the request, if you send the request as per the HTTP protocol, as per the guidelines of HTTP protocol, if you send the request, the server will understand the request, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you have to say HTTP colon slash slash because you're sending a HTTP request. That is the meaning. You're sending a HTTP request. So HTTP colon slash slash. So what if client wants to speak with the server, if client wants to speak with the server, the client has to know the IP address of the server, correct? I have to give the IP address, correct? Otherwise, to which server you're sending the request, you have to tell to this particular server you have to send the request. So, what is the IP address of my laptop? So this is the IPv for the 10.0.0.182. 10.0.0.182. This is the IP address. And colon, you have to give the port number also 8090. It means you're asking the browser, so browser is sending a request to this particular IP address to this particular port number. It means the Tomcat server is running on this port number. It means the browser is sending a HTTP request. The browser is sending a HTTP request to this particular port number, correct? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
So slash slash. So what is the in that, so Tomcat server is running in this port number, fine, but within the Tomcat server there are a lot of applications running. So I have a first web application. This is the application that is running. This is the portal web service is another application. Ping MVC demo is another application. There are a lot of applications running inside this server, correct? So to which application you want to send the server? So to the first web application. First web application. So for this particular application, you want to send a request slash first web application. So inside this application, you want to send the request to home.html, home.html slash home.html. Did you get that? This is home page because the first web application is running inside this IP address inside this Tomcat server, which is running at port number 8090. Okay, so I'm sending the request to this particular application. I'm asking this application, I need home.html. Then it sends the request, it sends the response back. It is sending the home.html page back. It is sending that page back to the client. So you are receiving that page back to the client, and the browser understands the HTML language. So when browser receives this file, when browser receives this home.html, this is the file it is receiving from the server. This is the file it is receiving. So when this file is sent to the browser, so browser knows what is this language. Browser understands what is HTML language. So it knows that whatever that is present inside the body tag, whatever that is present inside the body tag, it knows that that is the web content. That is the content that needs to be displayed on the screen. Whatever the content that is present in the body tag that needs to be shown on the screen, that information is known to the browser already. Browser knows how to read the HTML file and how to render the data from the HTML file to the browser, correct? So when this HTML file is sent to the browser, so browser read this HTML file, and whatever the content that is present inside the body tag, so whatever you write inside the body tag, that will be the web content. That is the content that is displayed on the screen. Any questions? So now did you get that this is home page?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yeah.
Suppose if you want to send a request to the server, and if you're asking, hey, I need login.html, then server will send the response back to the browser, the login.html. Did you get the username and password? If you send a request to the server, hey, I need welcome.html, it will send the welcome.html content. Hello, this is my first HTML page, right? So to which HTML you're sending the request to? So you're asking the server, hey server, I need this. Then server is sending the response back to the browser, correct? So client is asking the server, client is sending a request to the server. It is sending a HTTP request. It is sending a HTTP request to the server, and server is sending the HTTP response back. So any questions on this till now? Just at high level, I'll just explain. I'll still explain all these things again. So just at high level, did you understand some? Did you get some idea?
Yes.
No, no. Yes, sir.
So you
Yes.
ex you created a web application and you kept that application inside the server. How did you keep the application inside the server? You exported the entire application as a WAR file. Now you are keeping the WAR file inside the server. It means you kept your application inside the server. Now you started the server. Now you can send a request to the server because server is running at port number 8090. If you stop the server is not running at port number 8090, correct?
Yes, sir.
So right now server is running at port number 8090. You can send a request to the server. So server can listen to the request at this port number. Whatever the request coming to that port number, server can listen to those requests and respond to those requests. It is sending the response back. For example, if I stop the server, so just Control C, server is stopped. Now if I send a request to the server, you don't get this site can't be reached, correct? Because server is stopped, server is not running. Agreed. So when you send a request to the port number 8090, at port number 8090, nothing is running. There is nothing which is running at port number 8090. So who will give the response then? Who will receive the request and who will give the response, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's why you're getting the site can't be reached because server is stopped. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. So if you understand these things, now let us learn more things about HTML. Morning I told that it's input type equal text is a text field. Input type equal to password is a password field, correct? So let me start the server again. Startup.batch. Server is started. Server startup is completed. So now let me send a request to the welcome.html. You are welcome.html. Now we will send login.html. So you got this username and password. Okay. So similarly, if you look at any website, suppose if I open www.wellsfargo.com, so this is the request you are sending to the server. Server will send a response back. This is the response you are getting from the server, correct?
Yes.
When you send this request to the server, okay, this domain name will be resolved into IP address to that particular to that particular laptop where the server is running. So the request is sent. Now the server is responding back, correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So here you can, this is the username field where you can enter something, and this is the password field where you can enter something, correct? This is the username field and this is the password. Okay. Or else similarly, when you click on this personal, when you click on this link, when you click on this personal link, when you click on this personal link, just observe the change in the URL. This is called URL. This is called URL. Just change the small business. Yeah, I clicked on small business. So this is the URL /biz, right? And when you click on commercial /com, correct? And when you click on anything, suppose annual academic outlook, click on that. So can you see the change in the URL?
Yes.
So what is happening is whenever you do some action, whenever you click on small business, then one request is going to the server. One request is going to the server. So request means this is the URL. So every time the server is receiving the request means it will receive the URL. Getting it? This is the request going to the server, correct or not?
Yes, sir.
So it's a request URL, that is called request URL. This is the URL you're requesting to the server. A server, you're sending this request to the server by using this URL. So every time when you click on, suppose when you click on commercial, one request went to the server. This is the URL. So when this request went to the server will understand that URL. Whatever the URL that you sent, server will understand that URL. So it knows that for this URL, what is the HTML file it has to send back. The server knows about it. The server knows about it. For this particular URL, what is the HTML file I need to send? So this is the HTML file it is sending. Correct. So when you click on small business, this is the URL went to the server. You send one request to the server. Server is sending the response back. So this is the small business. This is the HTML page for the small business. And when you click on resources for small business, so the URL, a different URL went wellsfargoworks.com, a different URL, correct? And this is the request went to the server, and server is sending the response back. This is the response you received in the browser. So every time you do some action, one request is going to the server, and server is sending the response. Agreed or not? So when you click on marketing, when you click on marketing research, so this is the request went to the server, correct? This is the request went to the server sent the response back. This is the response sent by the server. This is the HTML page sent for this particular request. I told that browser is sending a request, browser is sending a request. Browser is sending a request means, browser is sending a request means, what it is sending? It is sending a URL. It is sending a request URL, correct? Agreed.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Browser
only.
is sending a URL to the server. Now server will understand that URL, and for that URL, what is the HTML page it has to send, the server knows about it. So how server knows about it, all those things I'll talk about it. Don't worry. We are just in the beginning. So just try to understand high level. So when you send a request to the server, server will understand that request and it will give the response. How server understands that request, how server is sending the response, all those things we learn. We learn all those things. But at this point of time, so please understand that. So when you send a request, every time you click on some link, so one request is going to the server, a different request is going to the server, then the server is sending a different response, right? For this particular request, this is the response. Suppose if I click one more, if I click on one more thing, one more request is going to the server. So you can see that it is the browser is spinning, right? So this spinning means the request is sent to the server and it is in the process of sending the request to the server. And when the response is received, the spinning will be turned off, right? Can you see that spinning? Suppose when you click on this marketing tags, just see that it is spinning here. If you observe here, it is spinning here, correct?
Yes.
It is spinning or not? The blue color,
Yes.
did you see that?
Yes.
So it means you are sending one request to the server. The server is sending a response back. So this is the response is sent. This is the HTML page. It's sent back to the browser. Browser understands the HTML file. Browser understands the HTML language, and it is displaying the content in the HTML file in the on the browser in this way. Any questions here?
No.
So any website. So go to any website, maybe www. What else? So Cigna.com. It's an insurance company, right? Cigna.com. Cigna is an insurance company. So now if you just click on this employers and brokers, click here. A different request went to the server. A request went to the server. Server sent a response back. This is the HTML page server sent back. And when you click on this plans and services, okay. So when you click on this HR in HSA plans, a request went to the server, correct?
Yes.
And server sent a response. This is what you have to understand primarily. So you every time you do some action, one request is going to the server and server is sending the response. So how server understands the request, how server processing the request, how server sending the response, all these things we'll learn in this course. Don't worry about that at this point of time. Okay. So similarly, what I'll do here is, this is the HTML page, this is the username and password. So I want to click submit. I want a button. So I have to create an input type equal to submit. So when you say input type equal to submit, so here I told input type equal text means text field. Input type equal to password means it's a password field. When you say input type equal to submit, you will get a submit button. You will get a submit button where you can submit the request. When you enter username and password and click on that button, click on that submit button, then the request will go to the server, correct? Agreed. So input type equal to submit, you can specify value equal to login, something like this. Value equal to login. So now what I'll do is, now what are the changes I made in this HTML file? What are the changes I made in this HTML file? Are those changes are present in this war file?
Yes.
Whatever the changes I made in the HTML file, are those changes present in the war file?
No.
Because
No.
I
No. No.
exported that war file. I exported that war file before making the changes. Now I have to export the war file again, correct?
Yes.
So export war file next, and first web application destination on the desktop. Okay. So it's saying that already exists. If you wish to overwrite, select the overwrite existing file. Yes, I will want to overwrite the existing file because this particular war file already exists on the desktop, right?
Yes.
I want to overwrite that. Finish. Now that file is overwritten. Now that war file I have to keep it inside the server, correct?
Yes.
Let me stop the server and let me keep that war file. Let me remove these things. I don't want this first the previous war file. I don't want it. I'm removing that previous war file, and the latest war file is on the desktop. I want to copy this and I want to place it in the web apps folder of the Tomcat. Paste. Correct. Now the war file is inside the Tomcat server. Now let me start the server. So let me remove this folder also. Shift delete. I don't want the first web application folder. Now when I start the server, now this war file will be extracted into a folder. Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
So let me start the server. Start up the dash file. So server is getting started. Server startup is completed. So now go and check in this. You got the first web application folder, correct?
Yes.
Now, what are the changes you made in the Eclipse? What are the changes you made in the Eclipse HTML file? You made some changes in the HTML file. You added some button input type equal to submit, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
What are the changes you made? You exported the entire project as a war file again. Now you have the latest war file. You kept the latest war file inside the server and you're starting the server again. So I started the server again, correct? So now let me go and send a request to the server. Let me go and send the request to the server to the login.html file. Now I got the submit button, correct? Because I told input type equal to submit, it's a submit button, and the value I have given as login, that's why it is showing as login. The value inside this button, what are the value that has to be displayed on the screen? So I gave value equal to login, so it is showing login, correct?
Yes.
So now you can enter username as something like this and password as something like this. And when you click login, When you click login, nothing will happen. Because did you say anything that when I click on login, one request has to go to the server? Did you say that? You did not say that, right?
Yes.
See, everything is a program. If you don't specify that, how does it know? When you click on that button, what should happen? When you click on that button, what should happen? You did not tell that, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
So now let me improvise the program. So what I'll do is, so I have a username field, I have a password field, and I have a button. And when you click on the button, what should happen? Let's see that. You should have a tag called form tag. It's one more HTML tag. So right now we are learning HTML. Keep that point in mind. So there's a tag called form tag. There's a tag called form tag. Just open the tag and close the tag. Every tag should have a closing tag, correct? Of course, input tag does not require a closing tag. Input tag, this input tag, what are the input tag that you open? It need not be closed. You don't need to close that. Don't close that. Input tag need not be closed. But every other tag has to be closed. The form tag has to be opened, form tag has to be closed. Body tag has to be opened, body tag has to be closed. Correct?
Yes.
So now this is a form. So this is a form. This is a form tag. Inside this form tag, you have username, password, and all these things button. And when you click on this button, when you click on the submit button, when you click on the submit button, it's a submit button. You are submitting the data. You are submitting the data that is present in the form. It's a form that is present in the form. When you submit the data that is present in the form, where the request should go, you should tell that the request should go to the server. When I click on the submit button, the request should go to the server. That you have to specify. How will you specify? By using action. Form action equal to form action equal to, I would say, uh, welcome welcome.html. So I'm saying that, so when you submit the form, when you click on the submit button and submit the form, when you submit the form, the action, what action should take place? The action should go to the welcome.html. That's what you're telling. That's what you're telling. Okay. So let me save this. Let me save this. Now, what are the changes I made? Those changes again I have to place that in the server. Correct.
Yes.
So let me export this as a war file again. Export as a war file. Next. It should be on the, I'm placing it on the desktop. Save. I'm overwriting the existing file. Finish. Now I have a latest war file on the desktop. Let me copy that and paste it in the server. So go to the bin folder. First of all, let me stop the server. I don't require to stop. First of all, let me stop the server. And now go to the bin folder, and in the web apps folder. In the web apps folder, I'm removing the previous war file. Shift delete. I'm also removing this folder. Shift delete. Now I'm pasting the latest war file. I copied it, right? Okay, let me copy it again. So copy, paste. Okay, I pasted the latest war file. Let me start the server again. Correct? Let me start the server again. The server startup is completed in 380 milliseconds. Okay, let me go ahead with the request. So now I got the username, I got the password, I got the login button. Correct? Now I enter something, some username and some password, and when I click on login, did you see that? This is not required. Did you see that when I click on login, so the welcome.html is appended to the first web application, correct? So this is the request went to the server, agreed or not?
Yes.
This is the request went to the server. This is the request went to the server. When you click on the submit button, the request went to the server. So it means this is the URL. So after first web application, the welcome.html is appended. Why it is appended? Because you said action equal to welcome.html. So listen carefully. So go back. Now, right now you have a login.html. Right now you have a, okay, let me open the browser from beginning again. Observe carefully what I'm doing here. So HTTP 10.0.0.182 port number 10.0.0.182 port number 8090 slash first of all, this is the login.html, correct? I'm sending the request to the login.html. So this is the response I got from the server. So this is the first web application slash login.html, correct?
Yes.
Listen carefully here. You have to understand few things here. You have to understand few things. For example, if you want to send a, if you want to meet your friend, I told the morning example, if you want to meet your friend, you should know the address of your friend. Hold on. So, uh, so this is the address of your friend. This is a big community where a lot of apartments are there, and you are present. This is in New York, and you are present in California. So now from California you want to meet your friend, so you should know the address of your friend. Then you go to this community. But after going to this community, you should know the apartment number. Otherwise, you cannot meet your friend. Correct? So let us assume that this is the apartment. In this particular community, this is the apartment where your friend is living. Okay, correct? Similarly, this is my laptop, and this is the Tomcat server that is running at port number 8090. Correct? Great.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ram.
So this is the Tomcat server that is running at port number 8090. There are a lot of this is one of the apartment in this community. This is one of the apartment in this community. At this port number, this apartment is running. I mean, this apartment is there. Okay, fine. Now there are when you went to this apartment number, and when you knock the door, actually there are five people living in this room. There are five people living in this room. Okay, there are five people living in this room. So you want to, if you want to speak with your friend, you have to know how he looks like and who is he. How he looks like and who is he, then only can speak with him. Out of the five friends, if you have to recognize your friend, you should know who is he, right?
Yes.
So inside this apartment, there are five people living. Now you want to speak with your friend. So you should know who is he, how he looks like. You have to identify him. Agreed or not? Otherwise, can you start the communication if you don't identify him?
No.
So you have to identify. You have to know who is your friend. Out of the five people, who is your friend? Then only you can speak with him. If you want to speak with your friend, you should know the address of your friend, apartment number of your friend, and inside the apartment number, who is exactly your friend. Correct? Agreed. Then only you can speak with him. Any questions here?
No. No,
So I
Ram.
want everyone to respond, boss. I can't repeat. I can't repeatedly ask until and unless everyone asks. Until and unless everyone speak, I will ask the question repeatedly. Did you understand or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yes.
similarly, now from the browser wants to speak with the server. Browser wants to speak with not with the server. Browser wants to speak with the application. The application is inside the server. Correct? The application is your friend. The application is your friend. The application is inside the server. Agreed or not?
Yes.
Browser wants to speak with the application. The application is inside the server. So you should know the IP address of the laptop where the server is running and the port number, that is the apartment number. And inside this apartment number, there are five people because in the same server, I can have multiple applications running. For example, this is one of the application, this is the other application, this is the other application. There are so many applications running inside the Tomcat server at port number 8090. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Because in the same server I can place multiple applications. Suppose I developed one application called Facebook application. I kept that Facebook application inside a server. In the same server, I can keep another application called Wells Fargo application, another application called Bank of America application, another application called Cigna application. I can develop various applications and I can place all the applications in the same server. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So right now I place so many applications inside this server. First web application, say a Spring MVC demo, Servlet JDBC demo. There are so many. There are so many applications. I deployed. Deployed means placing. So from going forward, I will use this word called deployed. Deploy. So I will deploy the application in the server means I'll place the application inside the server. That is the meaning. I will deploy the application means I'll place the application. From going forward, I'll use the word called deploy. Okay. So in the same server, I deployed 5 applications. In the same server, I deployed 5 applications. Now you want to speak with your friend means you should know which is the name of your application, right? Which is the name of your friend? This is the name of your friend, correct? Because this is the application you want to speak with. You don't want to speak with the portal web service. You don't want to speak with the Spring MVC demo. You want to speak with the first web application. Agreed?
Yes.
Yes.
It means you have to know your friend. So that's the reason in the URL I gave the port number, and after the port number I gave this application name. Correct?
Yes.
So this is called context path. This is called context path. Listen carefully. So I'm going forward. I'll use these words repeatedly. Context path. So right now I have a URL. This is the URL. This is the URL. This is called URL. This is the request URL. I'm sending this URL. This is the request URL. This is the URL I'm sending to the server, which is running at port number 8090. I'm sorry. Which is running at port number 8090. This server is running at port number 8090. For this particular server, I'm sending the request. How am I sending the request? Using the URL. Using this URL, I'm sending the request. Correct? This is the exactly this is the thing I'm sending to the server. Exactly this is the thing I'm sending to the server. Correct or not? From the browser, I type this URL and I'm clicking enter. Then this request is going to the server at port number 8090. Agreed or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So within the port number 80, within the server, there is an application code. This is the context path of the URL. This is the context path of URL. What is context path? First web application is the context path. This is called context path. It means the name of the application that you are writing in the URL, that is called context path. This is the context path of the URL for this particular application. It means you have to identify the application by using the context path. By using the context path, you are identifying the application in the server. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You means not you, server. When the server receives the request, so inside the server there are 5 applications running. Now server has to send the request to one of the application out of these 5 applications. So server check the request URL. What is the URL it received? So then it will check the context path of the URL. Okay, this is the context path. It will go and identify the application based on the context path. Then the request is redirected to that particular application. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So this is called context path of the URL. Okay.
Okay.
So now if you click on this login button, if you enter username and if you enter password, and when you click on login button, it means this is part of the form tag. You are submitting the form. When you click on the submit button, when you submit the form, the request will be submitted to the server. The request will be submitted to the server because in the URL already you have first web application as a context path. For this context path, the action tag will be whatever the thing that is present in the action. Whatever the thing that is present in the action, form action equal to welcome.html. So it will be appended to the context path. It will be appended to the context path. Okay.
Okay.
So when I click on login, if you observe here, this is the context path. For this context path, welcome to, because when you click on the submit button, the action is submitted, the request is submitted to the server. So it is submit to the server means you are sending some request to the server. You are sending some request to the server. How are you? So this is the request you are sending to the server, correct? So forget about this question mark and all these things. I'll talk about these things later. I'll talk about these things later. So the request is submitted to the server, correct?
Yes.
So this is the request that is sent to the server. Now server is understanding that request. Now server understands that okay, you're requesting for welcome.html. So server is sending the welcome.html page back. Got it?
Yes, sir.
So when you send some request to the server, server is sending the response back. This is the response. It is sending the welcome.html. Or else, if you say form action equal to home.html, then the request will when you click on submit button, the request will go to the server. What request it will go? After the context path slash home.html. After the context path slash home.html, that request will go to the server. Server will send the home page. Server will send the home page, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's what it's that is the meaning of form tag, form action tag. So the action attribute of this is called attribute of this tag. Every tag might have attributes or might not have. So this tag has an attribute called action attribute. So by using this action attribute, you can specify when you click on the submit button, when you submit the form, where should the request go to? What is the request URL? How the request URL has to be constructed and how the request should go to the server. That is determined by the action attribute. So everyone understood the form tag and everyone understood the submit input type will submit.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And if
Yes.
you look at this, if you look at this, if you look at the login page, if you look at the login page, you are seeing the username column, password, and login button, everything side by side. But if I don't want side by side, if I want the password field below the username field, but so have you seen the Wells Fargo website? The username and password are not next to each other, correct? So the username field is here and the password field is here. It is not next to each other. And the button field is here, correct? Agreed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
How to achieve this? What you have to do is in the HTML file, after the username field, use the break tag. So this is the opening tag and this is the closing tag. It's a self-closing tag. The tag is open, the tag is closed here. You observe that slash greater than symbol closing the tag. Both are do both at the same time. So it's a self-closing tag. So use the break tag. This is the break tag you have to use after the username field. And after the password field also use the break tag. So the break tag is nothing but it's a line break. You are breaking the line. So after this content is displayed, it will so now when this HTML file is sent to the browser, when the server sends this HTML file to the browser understands the HTML language. It understands what is meant by break. So it will introduce a line break. So after this username field, there is a line break. In the new line, it will give the password. Again the line break, and in the new line, it will give a submit button. It will render all these elements on the screen. It will render all these HTML elements on the screen. Correct? So what are the changes I made now? Let me build a war file. Let me export the entire project as a war file. I'll get the latest war file. So destination on the browser on the desktop. Save. Let me finish it. I have a latest war file on the desktop. Let me stop the server first. I stop the server. Now go and copy this war file. Copy and paste it inside the before pasting it, remove the previous application that you deployed. What are the application that you deployed? Please remove that application, delete that application. Now deploy the new application. You are deploying a new application. So the latest application you deployed. So now what you do is just start the server. Just start the server. So server is after the server started. So server is started. So let me send a request to the browser login. I'm sending a request. I got the username field. There's a line break. Password field. There's a line break. There's a login button. Correct? Agreed?
Yes, Ramji.
So this is what the meaning of break tag. It will break the line. It will break the line. So, but if you want to have another break, just give another break. There will be two line break. This is the first line break. This is the second line break. There will be two lines will be broken in between. Then you have a password field. So if again you want to give a line break again, give the line break. How many other line breaks you want to give? Give those line breaks. So I gave two line breaks here after this field. After the password field, I gave two line breaks. So now let me export this WAR file again. Export. Next. Desktop. Finish. I have a latest WAR file on the desktop, and let me stop the server, and let me copy that WAR file. This is the latest WAR file. Copy that and place it in the server. But before placing it, remove the previous things. Shift delete. Paste it. This is the latest WAR file you deployed. The latest WAR file is deployed in the server. So let me start the server. The server is started. So now what I'll do is I'll go and send a request to the login.html page. So I got two line breaks in between, correct?
Yes.
But if you look here, so this password field is starting from here, and the username field is starting from here. They're not aligned to each other. They're not starting from the same point. It is not looking good on the screen, correct? It doesn't look good on the screen, correct or not?
Yes.
The username field is starting from here. The password field is starting from here. So this particular field is starting from here, and this particular field is starting from here. They're not in a proper order, right?
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes, sir.
So what should I do for that?
Yes.
So what I can do for that is, so instead of using these line breaks and all these things, I'll remove these line breaks. I'll remove these line breaks. So I hope everyone understood what is the break tag. I'm trying to explain various HTML tags. So I already explained the input tag, type equal to text, type equal to password, type equal to submit. I already explained about the form tag, and I already explained the importance of the form tag. When you submit the form, so then the request will go to the server based on the action, correct?
Yes.
So I'm trying to explain various HTML tags. That is my main motive of this particular class. Okay. So and I also explained about the break tag. Now I'm trying to explain about another tag. What I'll do is I will create one table. I will create a table by using there's a tag called table tag. I'm opening the tag and I'm closing the tag. So table tag is open and table tag is closed. Okay. So now within the table, generally table means what? I hope everyone knows what is a table, correct? How does the table looks like? So table HTML images. So just go to the images. This is how the table looks like, right? This is the table, agreed?
Yes, sir.
So this is the first row, this is the second row, this is the third row, this is the fourth row. Total there are 4 rows in this table and 4 columns in this table. There are 4 rows and 4 columns. I hope everyone know what is a row and what is a column. Correct?
Yes,
So
Ramji.
what I'll do here is I'm creating a table. Each table should have a rows. Correct? How do you create the row? There's a tag called tr. So this is the first row. Okay. This is the first row. TR tag is open and TR tag is closed. So this is the second row. So this particular table contains two rows, correct? So TR is within this table. This table is opened here. This table is closed here. So this table contains two rows, and each row contains two columns. Let me note it down. Let me write it down. So this is the within this row, each row contains two columns. So this is the first column. TD is the column. This is the first column. First column is open and first column is closed. And within this row, I have one more column called TD. So this is another column. Okay. This particular row contains two columns, and this particular table contains two rows. Correct. So now this row also contains two columns. This is the first column and this is the second column. Okay. Now what I'll do is, this particular first column contains a value called username. This particular second column contains a value called this input field. So input type equal text, name equal to, this particular first column contains username. This first particular second column contains this particular thing. This is the first row. In the second row, the first column contains password and second column contains this particular field. Input type equal to password. Now I'll write one more row. There is a third row. In the third row, so this is the third row. In this third row also I have two columns. So this is the first column. I have a second column. This is the second column. In the second column, I have input type equal to submit. The first column does not have anything. First column does not have anything. So this is the table. This table contains three rows. This is the first row, this is the second row, and this is the third row. Each row contains two columns. So username column is the first column value, and second column value is this one. And in the second row, the first column is password, and this is the input type equal to password. In the third row, the first column does not have any value. The second column has a value called submit button. So now let me export this WAR file. Export WAR file. So I'm exporting that on the desktop. Finish. I have the latest WAR file in the desktop. Let me stop the server and let me delete the existing application, first web application, and WAR file shift delete. Now I will copy the latest WAR file. I'll copy the latest WAR file, copy and paste it in the web apps folder. Let me start the server. Let me start the server. Okay, server is started. Now when the server is started, let me send the request to the server from the browser. From this browser, let me send the request, enter. So if you look here, this username is there in the first column, and password username the input type equal text is there in the second column, and in the this is the first row, and the second row you have password in the first column, and in the second row second column you have password field, and in the third row the first column does not have any value, but the second column has a login button. So did you see the alignment now?
Yes, Ramji.
Yes.
So by using this table, I because table means what is fixed length. The column and column, every row will have a columns. So that's why it is showing in the order, because the first column in the first row and the first column in the second row will be the same location, right?
Yes.
If you look in this, the first column in the first row, the first column in the second row, these two columns are of equal width. These two columns are of equal width, and that's why, and they are in the order. It is starting at the same place, correct? That's what my intention is, to create a table and to give the alignment. Any questions here? So everyone understood how to create a HTML table. Every table will have a row and columns. Row and columns. Any questions here?
No, Ramji.
So
No, Ram.
I hope everyone understands at least few tags in HTML by now. How to create a table, the table tag, the row tag, the column tag. Okay, and I hope everyone understood what is a break, line break, what is the input type equal to text, input type equal to password, input type equal to submit. Okay, in morning I told input type equal to checkbox and input type equal to radio. Okay, I told various tags in HTML, and form tag. I also told about the form tag. So, and I also told you how to download the Tomcat server and how to start the server. And when you start the server, so on what port number the server is starting, correct? I told you can see the port number here. When you start the server, go in, because in my laptop the Tomcat server is running in port number 8090, the HTTP port number. So when you start the server in your laptop, go and check what is the port number, because the port number might be different in your server, in your laptop, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Ramji.
Okay, so this is still an introduction class. I will talk about more depth. I'll still talk about more things. I will go into the depth of these concepts. This is just an introduction class. I will talk so many things about the server. I will tell you how to change the port number of the server. Right now the server is starting at the port number 8090. For some reason, I don't want to start the server on port number 8090 and I want to start the server on another port number. How to change those port numbers? All those things I will discuss. This is still just an introduction class. Okay, so
Okay.
this is how you're starting the server, and this is how you know how to deploy the application in the server. You have to go to the web apps folder, and inside the web apps folder you can deploy your application. You can deploy your war file and start the server. The war file will be automatically extracted. So now you can send a request to the server after the server is started from the browser. And you know what is a context path. You should know what is meant by context path. You have to know the term. What is context path? What is the context path of the application? The context part of the application is first web application, correct?
Yes.
So you should know all these things by tomorrow. Tomorrow morning we have a class. We have a class at 10 a.m. Eastern time again. But if you need some time, I can start the class at 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's your wish. If you want to go through the recording and practice the things, download the Tomcat server and see that how to start the server, how to deploy the application, how to send a request to the server. You have to practice all these things by tomorrow. At what time you want me to keep the class? At what time you want me to keep the class? At 10 o'clock is fine or 11 o'clock?
11 is Ramji.
Will everyone agree to 11 o'clock?
Yes.
Yes, Ramji.
I want everyone to practice and come. Please don't come to the class without practice. So practice these things, download the thing, download the server, start the server, send the request from the browser, and create a dynamic web project from the Eclipse, and create some HTML files inside the web content folder. Export this as a war file. We learned so many things in today's class. We have to practice all these things and come to the class, because this is still an introduction thing. We will learn so many other things. If you practice these things, then it will be easy for you going forward. Okay, fine guys. So let's meet at 11 a.m. Eastern time in the morning. So please join the class on time without any reminders. Bye everyone.